last year I was lecturing at an IB school here in Finland, and some of the students asked me this question, and I didn't have time to properly answer, and now I'm going to answer this question. What advice would you give to someone interested in pursuing a career in mathematics? Now, this is again an endless and open-ended question, but I made like a short list, and maybe at some point I can make this into a more refined and more thought through list, but I now just kind of trying to answer off the top of my head. So number one that came to my mind is don't be afraid of mistakes. Mathematics is a science of exploration, and mistakes are a necessary part of learning. And when we are afraid of mistakes, then we get paralyzed, and then we don't move forward. It's okay, and that's another point in my list, it's okay not to understand. In fact, that's where the progress is happening. When you don't understand something, then you ask questions, and then you are trying to understand it. In the beginning, there are answers in books and by other people. So either your teachers, professors, or books that you have will have answers to your questions, and that's great. So you ask them, and then you get answers. At some point, you reach a level when your questions don't have answers, and then you have to figure them out on your own. And that's when you publish research papers in mathematics. Or maybe you don't answer them yourself, but in collaboration with your colleagues. Number three, and that follows from what I just said, ask questions. Always be curious. Don't stop, don't say something like, oh, that's not my area, that kind of stuff doesn't exist. Like, if there is a question, become curious, try to answer it, try to always go back to the definitions, like back to the stuff that you do understand, and then build up from there to what you don't understand, so then you can expand your horizon of understanding. Then in mathematics, it can be very frustrating because I remember, like, I kind of always felt that I don't understand anything, because those things that I didn't understand, I was frustrated about them because I didn't understand them. But those things that I already understood, they felt so simple and easy that I felt that it's nothing. So I always felt that I didn't understand anything. But you have to take time to appreciate what you already know and what you already kind of learned, because mathematics has the property that when you understand it, it seems simple. Like, that's the kind of point, because you understand it, and when you understood it, then it's kind of clear. And if it's clear, it's like, whoa, there's no mystery anymore, and it's no longer anything super complex to you because you understood it. But those things that are complex are those things that you still don't understand. So it's kind of always this frustrating situation that those things that you don't understand. Things you understand, they're like easy. Okay, now you have to get over this and appreciate what you already learned, what you have already learned. And the easiest thing is to try to teach. Like, when you learn a bit, after your second year, become a teaching assistant, and then you can teach others who are at an earlier stage than you, and you will realize that, wow, actually I know something that these younger students don't know yet, and that's kind of very beneficial. Then another advice is try to do stuff in your head. That's a funny advice, which I actually read from a book when I was a PhD student. In mathematics, we can read textbooks and material online, whatever, But sometimes it's very useful to close the book, go for a walk, and try to reconstruct the proofs and the ideas and the equations just in your head. Maybe with a piece of paper, but maybe just in your head. And that will help you to clarify the notions, because in the end, mathematics happens in the head. You cannot solve anything complex without having it completely in your head. And to practice this, it's very useful to set the book aside once in a while, maybe once a week, or even have like a half an hour a day when you set aside the book and you go and think about it. I'll tell you a story about myself, what happened once. I was reading one of the most difficult papers that I've ever read in my life by Saharon Shelah, a famous mathematician. And I was struggling, and I was reading the paper day and night. I was carrying it with me in my pocket everywhere. And wherever I was just trying to understand all the notation and the arguments, and I went back and forth, and it took me, I don't know, a week to go through the first 2 pages or whatever. Mathematics can be very difficult. And then one day I forgot that paper at home. At the time, it was like 15 years ago. I don't think anybody had the papers weren't like available on smartphones. I'm not sure if people even had smartphones back then. Anyway, somehow I didn't have the access to this paper. You can imagine, imagine you forgot the paper at home, and you forgot your phone at home, and you didn't have, I don't know, internet. Probably very unlikely these days. Today you could probably download that paper in seconds, but at the time it wasn't so simple. Okay, so I didn't have the paper with me, and I was devastated because, oh my God, I know that's my project. I have to study this paper. How am I going to study it? And so then I had to start thinking about it in my head. And within like several hours, I understood much more about that paper than during the week that I was trying to read it. Because when you think, you're forced, like in your head, without the paper available to you, you're forced to kind of construct these ideas, in your head in a way that is not it's hard to explain, man, but that's how it is. It's that's also what my supervisor told me at the time, that you gotta just think and not read. He said there are those who read and there are those who think, and those who think are the better mathematicians than those who read. Okay, then split your time. Like if you are interested in solving some very difficult mathematical problems like the Riemann hypothesis or something, fine, that's not forbidden. But it's forbidden to it's forbidden to spend all your time on those kind of things, because they are too high risk. It's like playing the lottery. It's like nobody has been able to solve that for 300 years. What are the chances that you are going to solve it, especially if you're a beginner? Split your time. Maybe you have a problem which is very interesting, which has been open for, I don't know, 100 years or 50 years or any number of years, in fact, and that's your passion and that's something you would like to solve. Spend 5% of your time thinking about that problem, and then the rest 95% you have to split between learning new things and trying to develop new things. And maybe in the beginning of your studies, it's this 95% is split so that 94% of the time you are learning new things, and 1% of the time you're trying to come up with new things. But here I don't mean Riemann hypothesis. I mean something new, some whatever. It could be like very simple stuff. And then that percentage grows gradually. So maybe when you are a research mathematician, then half of the time you spend trying to come up with new things, and half of the time learning existing mathematics. And so that's another advice. And then my last point here is that be humble. It could be the first point, but whatever. It's very important, and that means when you are studying mathematics, you are perceived to be intelligent. And you are intelligent, hopefully. And by intelligent here, I don't mean intelligent in life. I just mean very kind of brainy, and you understand a lot of complex mathematical formulas and whatever. But don't let that to get in your head. So don't try to be the smartest person in the room. And actually, here I'm going to quote my coach, because I have an amazing business coach, and he says, wait a second. Okay, I hope you can see this here. So it says, don't be the smartest one in the classroom. Instead, listen intently, be curious, and allow everyone else to feel like they are the clever ones. Only when taking an exam, and for mathematicians I'm going to add, and writing your papers, your math papers, and now I don't mean the IB papers, I mean the research papers that you're going to publish, that's when you have your opportunity to show off your true smarts. So even though you're tempted to show off that you're the smartest person in the room, in fact, that will make you much less popular. So instead, when you try to listen to others and what others have to say, and realize that maybe they are smart, and at least make them feel as if they are the smartest people in the room, then they will like you a lot more. And that works not only in mathematics, but that's in mathematics especially. I can see that I was driven so much by my ego in my early years that it's unbelievable. Like, I wanted to show off all the time that I know better, and that was sometimes my only reason to learn something, is just because so that I could show off my skills and my knowledge and whatever. And now I know better. Now I'm trying to look for better motivations to learn new stuff. But yeah, this is my advice to you if you are going to become a mathematician. Thanks.